Namaste and welcome to the audience in this brand new episode of our program Guest in Town. Atithi Devo Bhava. It's me, your host, Rohan Srestha. Today we are going to discuss on the development of our country, development of Nepal. For this, we have in our studio the Executive Director of HELVETAS Intercooperation, Mr. Melchior Lengsfeld. Let me welcome him. Welcome, sir. Welcome to Nepal. Welcome to Himalaya Television.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
So how are you, sir? When did you come to Nepal?
It's now a little bit more than 1 week back. We spent most of that time going around in the Palikas. We made a sort of transect from the mountains, Helambu till the Terai, and so it gave a few glimpses of insights of where the development activities are standing. We looked at a number of our programs and it was very insightful for me.
So from Helambu to Terai, how was the trip?
The trip was interesting, quite varied. Like it gives a very immediate insight how different the living conditions in the hills are compared to the plainlands of the Terai. We have also a number of very different interventions in Helambu. It's more like reconstruction, post-earthquake reconstruction. We're in drinking water rehabilitation, we're in irrigation rehabilitation. Of course, we work in shelter and also reconstruction of schools together with another Swiss partner. We focus more on the wash component. And so it's good to see how that is progressing.
Purpose of your visit?
It's like twofold. One side is like to get an insight how programs are progressing, but then this is really the base to hold also programmatic discussions with our team, to meet other development partners and to speak about the future of our program.
Last time, when did you come to Nepal?
It's already 4 years back.
Okay.
Feels almost as too long. So many things have happened.
Earthquake, I guess, right?
Yeah, it was before the earthquake, yeah.
How did you compare the condition, the status of the people, the status of the development then and now?
It depends where you look. I mean, 4 years is a time where nothing happens or where a lot of things happen, depending on how you look. If you look at the reconstruction situation, you see people who are really in dire expectation of slower progress. If you still live in a shack after 2.5 years, then you have the impression things are too slow. Many people lost beloved ones, lost their whole livelihood in the earthquake, so they would hope that things go quicker. But then for others, economic opportunities have picked up, and that is also very encouraging to see. There's of course a major change in the political landscape with the whole federalization process, with the decentralization, holding of local elections, and that is something which is certainly also very strong political vision.
Did you get a chance to meet with the local representatives?
I think it would be presumptuous to say I have a strong opinion on how things are, but as observations I found it very inspiring that Nepal, in a also outdrawn political transition, says this is a bold political vision we want to implement. And elected leaders today, we met with a number of mayors, deputy mayors, they clearly say we know the rights that are vested in the Palikas and we look forward to be able to implement them. We look forward to the third round of elections so that the provincial government is in place and that will allow us to progress better.
What about the people of those Palikas?
We didn't hear much about how the political situation is changed through that election. I think that will come in the next stage when the Palikas also can engage more strongly with their populations. That will certainly start with local level planning, where people will have a say, should have a say. Many mayors confirmed us that they want to have planning processes really bottom up, from the settlement level, ward level, then consolidating at the Palika level. And that is something which actually we welcome a lot, because that is the way how we have worked as a civil society organization for the past decades. Inclusion of people, also disadvantaged groups, is very important to us. Giving space that everybody can speak up, participate in decision making. This is close to our core values. So we think that is a historic opportunity to move towards that direction.
It's been so long that HELVETAS has been working in Nepal for the development, for the upliftment of the communities in Nepal. So currently, what HELVETAS has been doing?
It's true that it's like 60 years, more than 60 years that HELVETAS is active in Nepal.
Right.
We have always engaged for the uplifting of the poor and disadvantaged people. So we really have a focus on that side. It has been a strong focus on rural development. And we have had a large array of sectors where we have been active. For instance, drinking water for many, many years is still ongoing, but also water for food, irrigation at the local level, something which is very powerful to create additional income.
Do you want to highlight some of the projects or plans that it has been doing currently?
I think one of the past great experiences is social forestry, where I think this is in
community forest.
Community forests, where in the 1970s this really started as a community initiative. Today this is something which is totally established, and we have been part of that story over many, many years. Another very important initiative is all what we have been doing in vocational education and training. There has been a strong engagement of the Swiss government and also of Helvetas with vocational education and training. And we moved our approach from more technical centers, where you get a solid technical education, to more a skills development approach, where you get a shorter education, but where the focus is really getting you into a job with a decent income. And we see this works very well, maybe for two key reasons. One is that these trainings are delivered by private sector actors who really know the market and know where employment opportunities exist. The other side is payment for those skill trainings to the training providers is only fully delivered when a large share of the training of the trainees really are in a job after 6 months and gaining a threshold income.
How this has affected the livelihood of the people?
Maybe I can pick out one, which is the promotion of banana growing in the Western Terai, where we started a few years back, and that was really like a small pilot initiative. We brought in improved plant material so that the bananas planted really have a good yield, and not just in a subsistence approach, but producing bananas for the market, and even smallholders were able to grow quite important amounts of banana, and this has spread importantly in the whole region where we are working, totally independent of us, because others have seen, oh, this has a huge potential, we want to engage in it. This is just one of many other smaller initiatives who come together like to impact the life of concrete disadvantaged families.
As we have already said that the Helvetas has been working, it's been so long, right? 16 years, isn't it, that we have been working for Nepal, for the development of the people, for the upliftment of the economic upliftment of the people, isn't it? How do you see the overall development pace that Nepal is moving on?
I think there are several areas that we can distinguish. I think the political process is speeding up things. If you get local government closer to the people, that can be a very important accelerator. Then there has been important initiatives in road construction. If you open up with roads, then people have new opportunities, how they reach out to markets, to health centers, to schools. That is a huge accelerator. Our involvement with the trail bridge sector has been one of those accelerators. When you travel today in Nepal, you see many trail bridges. So that is something where we feel we have also contributed to accelerating economic and social development. And we find it important that today it's not just subsistence agriculture which is being promoted, but also agriculture as a like professional activity, not something that you just do for your family, but the economy is monetized. So you need to sell what you produce, and this has been speeding up. So being a rural entrepreneur is something which has really picked up over the past years. Overall, we would still say that the development hurdles for large groups of the population have not changed enough. There are still caste issues, there are still issues with gender disparity, where we find it's important to focus in very deliberate ways.
Do you think that this kind of problem will hamper the development pace of the country, and how?
Social development disparities certainly hamper progress of development. First, because it creates social conflict. The energy that you could put in productive activities are absorbed in the social tensions. But then also because the whole economic potential and the life fulfillment of people is hampered. And if there would be broader options for all levels in society, of course that would contribute in very massive ways to economic benefit, but also social benefit, social progress, also social justice in the country. So that is why we are very much engaged to provide opportunities for all groups in society to participate in social and economic progress.
In what way? In what way that HELVETAS is working so that every group or every community or every individual will get the equal chance or it will get the equal access of development?
Very concretely, for instance, in vocational education, that we promote that the training providers also select disadvantaged people from disadvantaged groups, maybe from lower castes, also include a fair share of women in the trainings, and we make it sure in providing incentives, so they are better paid, they get additional financial incentives if they include persons from those groups.
Do you think that we are getting out of this kind of problems, the problem of the caste, the problem of the gender and all?
The conflict has certainly been a phase which helped to dissolve a part of those perceptions. But it's a long process. What we see that we have many people that come originally from disadvantaged groups that today hold positions of economic influence, or also influences in politics. And so that is something which is encouraging. We see that this process is progressing, but it needs continued attention. And we see that also in newly upcoming discussion lines in the country, like with the Madheshi cause, that it's important to be very attentive that you maintain a homogeneous, I shouldn't say homogeneous, it's like a space in development where people can discuss and don't need to fight for their issues. What we see, if people are offered chances, then they will grab those chances. If they're deprived chances, then they will fight for their rights. And countries, and I'm not speaking about Nepal, but other countries where people had to fight for their rights, this has always hampered progress and development.
Do you want to compare with other countries and Nepal, since there are so many countries that it has been facing the similar kind of problem like Nepal? Do you have some kind of say on that?
I think comparisons are always a little bit difficult, but what I find inspirational is to see that there are economic activities picking up. What we have seen in Nepal, what we have seen in other countries, when there's a good environment for entrepreneurship initiatives, this helped in the progress. Now what is dear to HELVETAS, as to many other people, that this economic progress is inclusive, so that everyone can participate. What we have seen, and not least in Switzerland, that if powers are devolved to the lowest possible level, we call that the principle of subsidiarity, then this helps to engage people in the political process in a very constructive way. If you see that your government is accountable to you, then you would be more prepared to pay taxes. If you pay taxes to your government, of course, then new services can be delivered, quality of education can be improved, maybe local markets can be constructed, local transport infrastructure can be improved, and so on. So creating that bond between the citizens who hold rights and duties and the local government who also holds rights and duties, and making this a dialogue, this is one of the most powerful accelerators for development.
Right. What is your opinion on the political stability of the nation and development? Do you think that this politics hamper the entire development process?
The politics are the most powerful driver for economic development, for social development. If you do the right laws, if you have the right regulations, this opens development spaces. This opens opportunities. If space for important groups of actors are denied, this slows down development. If you have laws that allow civil society groups to speak up, to ask for accountability, to help excluded groups to participate in social and economic processes, this speeds up development. If there's a good environment for small local entrepreneurs or even larger entrepreneurs in a country, this can speed up development. So the laws and the whole political situation can accelerate or slow down the process. So what we find very important, that the interest of politics is geared mainly towards the goal of making the country progress, more as than to which party holds how many seats. And this is always a tension field in every country. The parties need to position, but they shouldn't lose out of sight what is the common goal. And creating this culture, I think that is one of the challenges today.
What do you see the challenges with Nepal in terms of development? Challenges or the opportunities?
one of the opportunities is how people are so engaged to making a better life. We see that in migration. One of the opportunities is that a very important income is generated through remittances. And at the same time, this is achieved through a huge human cost, not only for the migrants, and I heard that 2 dead bodies are brought home to
every day, right?
come back to Nepal every day. So we engage in making migration safer for the people who leave, but also for those who stay behind. That we have spoken to women groups whose husbands have migrated to the Gulf and who shared how difficult their life is when the couple is not there, when the husband is not there to help with the household chores. So if we could create conditions in Nepal that migration to the Gulf and Malaysia and to other countries
we can decrease the rate in that.
Would only be an option for those who really want to take it up to explore the world, but not for economic necessity, this would certainly be a progress.
What should be done to retain the people in Nepal itself?
We see great potential in promoting small local enterprises. And so the conversion of the local agriculture from more a subsistence orientation towards small local enterprises. This has certainly a very strong power to lift people out of poverty, but also beyond to create new opportunities. We see, of course, that education is key. We see that most young people today still don't get access to proper vocational education and training. This is certainly one of the factors that slow down development.
Right. So it's been very long that, again, we have to say, it's been very long that you, as well as there are so many development agencies that in Nepal that they have been working to eradicate this kind of problem from Nepal. But still, we have not been able to attain the pace, the goal of development. Similarly, we have not been able to create employment in our society. What might be the reason behind this, sir?
I think we should be positive. There has been a long armed conflict, and all countries who have known armed conflict have had a slowdown on development during that period. So now that the country is reconstructing on different fronts, then of course this provides new opportunities. So focusing on quality education, focusing on economic opportunities, but also focusing on inclusion of people who traditionally can less participate in these initiatives. I think that is one of the drivers for development.
Leaders in Nepal time and again say that we will plan to make Nepal as beautiful or as developed as Switzerland. Is this possible that Nepal can be as developed as Switzerland?
What I find inspiring is to take examples from other areas, from other countries where we think this element is inspiring for you. So for instance, maybe elements of the Swiss decentralized policy of the federal system
federal structure
can be an inspiration in some aspects, certainly not in all. It's interesting to look at different models and different countries and to see what are the elements that we combine together to the solutions which fit best to Nepal. In the end, it must be decided and homegrown in each country.
So what should the leaders or what should the government of Nepal should do to make for the development of the nation?
What I find inspiring is to engage in that decentralization process. So keeping cap on that vision, like being bold to say, now we have done the first step, what are the next steps? How can we accelerate? How can we make it effective? That is certainly one of the big policy objectives of the next years.
What kind of problem might arise in this federal state, since we are moving towards it and Switzerland already has got the federal structure? So what kind of problems might arise in terms of this political scenario or the developmental scenario?
Transitions are never without tensions. So we see that if the powers today are vested to important elements with the palikas, that disempowers to some extent the former districts. We need to define, it still needs to define what are the powers vested exactly between the palikas and the provinces and the federal level. So that is a sort of negotiation within the details is still to come, even if the constitution sets out the large lines. here we foresee, of course, conflicts. When you say you have officials that today are in Kathmandu and some of them will be asked to be transferred to other duty stations. We see issues with financial flows through the government budget. Today, a large share of the government budget is still held by the central level. What is the share of this budget which will be invested at the local level, spent at the local level in the future years? That is one of the key questions. As more as people can co-decide and be involved in this process, the smoother we think it will run, and also the quicker this transition will be effective.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time that you came to our studio and gave us your valuable opinion. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks to you as well, the audience, for your time. Please do stay with us for more news and entertainment packages. Keep watching Himalaya Television. Namaste.